And we're back after a mental health break. Sorry that took so long, but we should be going back to weekly videos now. So, without wasting any time, let's start with this video. In my last video, I talked about plate carriers and pouches. I did forget some brands, Mortar Attack and 545, and I didn't expand on others like Gearcraft. I'll make it up to you if you want with a part 1.5 where I go over everything I missed. But tell me how you feel about that in the comments below and if you would want to see that. Now, we're mostly going to be focusing on clothes and helmets. When it comes to footwear, use whatever you want. We've seen pretty much everything in this war, from boots to Crocs to even Yeezys. But we'll go from boots to tops with clothing, then finish with helmets. As a disclaimer, as always, I may get stuff wrong or miss something, and I want you to correct me in the comments. I also want you, the viewer, to check the comments because most times when people correct me, I heart the comment. But with that out of the way, let's begin. So, we're starting off with pants. Let it be known, when it comes to clothing, there's no real separation between regular soldiers and specialized troops. Most clothing, outside of some issue variants, is universal. It doesn't matter what kit, impression, loadout you're doing, because unless you're doing something like a 6SH122, usually you can get away with anything. Let's start off with the most common, the Cry-style knee pad pants, usually referred to as the G3 cut. The G3 cut comes from, well, a majority of brands. Most brands have a Cry-style knee pad cut, and I mean that. Go whatever your favorite brand is, and if they make clothing, there's a good chance they've made a Cry-style knee pad cut. Even ones like Gearcraft make custom ones. They've been seen in every sort of camo. While most are ATACs and multicam, I've seen solid colors and even weird stuff also pop up. I might not have all the pictures, but take my word for it. Here are all the brands with Cry-style knee pad copies, just to give you an idea. So let's move on. Next, the most common is probably the Arc'teryx style knee pad, just because they're the standard issue. Triada TKO and BTK are probably the best current issue military knee pads right now, at least in my opinion. They're very well liked. Most soldiers prefer them over other brands and private purchase options. I really only have good things to say about the Triada 3 series. More specialized troops, of course, prefer Multicam 3 series, but some people make do with the EMR ones. They're probably the best budget option in my opinion. You can get decent repros from AliExpress for about $30. While we're still on integrated knee pads, let's go down the list. There are many designs copying Triada's Arc'teryx inspired setup. UF Pro also has the fair share of clones, like Sturm, who are known in the West for having very good UF Pro style knee pad systems. These days, they've also made Arc'teryx style cuts, but that doesn't downplay how popular Sturm Striker Pro pants are among soldiers and impressionists alike. Now, of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. You're probably thinking about Spazen's Combat Pro Z pants. Most people use these in place of TPC's combat pants and ATAC's FG for SSO. We've seen Spazen's pants pop up on all types of soldiers, from regular soldiers to special forces. I personally never used a pair, but based on everything I've heard, they're probably a solid choice. Spazen also recently released their Combat Pro X, which is a UF Pro copy, and while I haven't seen it on anyone yet, it's still worth noting. While we're talking about TPC copies, you can pretty much pick up a good pair on AliExpress. And if you want another Russian brand that isn't Spazen, SRVV also has their Evo lineup, which we've seen in Surpat before. SRVV, while usually more common with specialized troops, also shows up on regular soldiers too. Now, we're finally entering the more unique ones, stuff like Void, which you can check out in one of my previous videos. It's always a Gucci choice and shows up across pretty much all troops, ranging from stormtroopers to, well, you know, SSO. Finally, let's move on to the generic cargo pants and what I've simply called knee area padding. It's obviously why I won't elaborate much on cargo pants. Most soldiers usually swap them out for something with actual knee pads, or at least cargo pants with insert pockets. I recommend getting something more substantial for your kit. Now, on to tops. Tops, shirts, jackets, whatever you want to call them, are a very mixed bag. While some soldiers have combat tops that matches their pants, others don't. Some have issue tops, or, well, hoodies, shirts, cold weather jackets, fleece tops, or just whatever they can get. When it comes to what soldiers actually wear, a little bit of everything shows up. Most of the time, soldiers will end up wearing regular field jackets or combat tops, because it works. But when they're given freedom, many will pick something more comfortable. Of course, this ranges from Chinese or locally made Russian clothing to more designer style pieces like Red Cliff jackets are similar. And while I could go on about many brands you might see in use, most of the brands I've talked about before are usually only ones worn as combat/field tops. Just note that the more Gucci brands are mostly seen among more experienced or specialized troops. So don't expect your average infantry band to be running around in something that costs over 10,000 rubles. Most will grab something from a local shop for around 5,000 rubles, and if they're feeling fancy, maybe something brand name for around 7,000 rubles. Overall, it's up to you what you want to wear. Just remember, the average soldier is going to be required to wear combat-capable clothing, so more than likely, just grab a field shirt or a combat top which matches your pants. Now finally, on to helmets. Honestly, it's pretty much what you expect. I have to bring back the separation between more experienced regular soldiers and special forces. Most soldiers keep whatever helmet they're issued, unless it's something like a Copac 20, which many do end up replacing, but not all of them replace it. For regular soldiers, a lot of the time, Chinese high cuts or mid-style helmets, which you can watch in a previous video, are kept but customized. Basic scrim, patches, or a new helmet cover. Some soldiers buy Chinese high cuts and others just capture ones and start using them. For special forces, more privately purchased helmets can be seen, mainly Atlas, but some issued Chinese FATS helmets are also known to stick around with certain soldiers. But that doesn't mean there aren't other name brand helmets in use, ones like from Aura's Armor or 545. The problem is, most helmets look extremely similar. It's like the Cry knee pad situation. Everyone copies the same core design, but with helmets, it's harder to tell them apart. Unless it's something like an Atlas helmet with its signature Velcro, there's usually no clear indicator. Anyway, most experienced regular soldiers stick with their issued helmets or grab an aftermarket Chinese one, with a few exceptions who actually buy brand name helmets. When it comes to special forces, you can usually tell an aftermarket helmet because it'll have a custom paint job, a nano-D color, or recognizable features like the Atlas style Velcro. I can confirm Atlas is one of the most popular aftermarket choices. I'd assume helmets from Omnitech are also popular, but maybe for all the wrong reasons. Anyway, sorry if this section feels a bit thin, but helmets are a pain to cover unless it's something visually unique. And to put it in perspective, guess how many of these helmets are actually Russian made? If you guessed 2, you'd be correct. While I found some random images of these helmets in use, differentiating them is hard, mostly because 90% of the time they're covered by scrim or a helmet cover. But still, your generic high, mid, or even low cut helmet is likely fine as long as it's OD or covered by a helmet cover. Anyway, I'm back now, and I hope this helps. While it's very basic, I hope this gives you what you need, and you should be expecting more videos again. Thank you for sticking around while I went in a really hard time. And, well, you should be expecting another video. And trust me, the next one's going to be good. And there's going to be a lot of people who like it. And, as always, I'll see you next time.